Great. Thanks everyone for sharing. The next question, I'll post it in the chat, is what was your process in starting and working through your job search?
So I'm assuming we're looping back around, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay. So my process, so I don't know how to answer this question just because like my career's changed so much, but I'll go a little bit back in time, just as fast as I can. So in 2017, I went to every career fair possible. I already had like some internships on my resume, so it wasn't that difficult to get a bunch of interviews. And I kind of just found Northrop Grumman, and they were offering me a job in a really cheap cost of living area, which was after living in Palo Alto and the Bay Area for a while, it was very enticing. So I took it. And from there, I kind of just transferred internally into different roles that I found interesting. They have this program called the PDP program, Professional Development Program. Basically, if you don't really know what you want to do out of college, you can try out different teams for the first 3 years in your career, which is exactly what I did. So I tried out a general manufacturing team, I tried out a mechanical design team, and I tried out a team that just did a bunch of just pure CNC machining operations. And so after those 3 years, I decided, okay, I don't think hardware and manufacturing is for me. Not because I didn't enjoy it or didn't find it interesting, but just because my brain, the way it works, it really just likes to sit down and work on like kind of like a math and algorithmic type problem. So I just decided to switch over to software. And that's the way I've kind of found my jobs. It's just internally networking with different teams within the company.
I'd have to say fairly similar. Went to the career fairs, met a bunch of people. People would offer to give you tours of their office if you were in town. And so I took advantage of that, and I went and toured a bunch of different engineering offices when I was home in Sacramento, and got 2 on-the-spot interviews during those office tours, and accepted one of those offers. So to be honest, it was really easy, but it was a lot of using connections. So going out, meeting people, finding out information, and just being curious and asking for more information about what it is that they were doing. And it just kind of naturally led its way into a very nerve-wracking on-the-spot interview when I didn't even have my resume with me or anything. So if you ever tour an office, take a copy of your resume with you. That is probably my biggest advice.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Awesome. Sorry about that. Assuming we're on the first question here. So I went to the job fairs. I was working at ASI at the time in the HR department at ASI. So I had kind of the pre-access to all the people that were coming in. So I was able to reach out to people through the College of Business, got the prep for interviews and things like that. So it was the job search on campus. It was also, I got connected with a couple of hotel companies via my internship the summer prior to my senior year. So I was already kind of doing some informational interviews to find out what hotels did what and how it was different. At the same time, looking at, Deloitte, Mercer, all these consulting companies right off the bat, but obviously knowing that I didn't have any real world experience, kind of delayed the consulting opportunities there. So went straight into hospitality right after school.
Alrighty, seems like the other folk had a relatively easy time finding a job. For me, it was different. I don't like the career fair because I don't like waiting in line, and I don't like the meet and greet and then apply online. So I didn't do that. I didn't enjoy it. So what I did though was I just applied again. Like maybe 10% responses, right? That's how it works. I did graduate in 2020 from the master's, so that was like peak pandemic. So that made it tremendously more difficult. But I just applied and I did cold calls, and then I eventually got my first job. And then I wanted to get the hell out of there. I think it was obvious. After 3 months, we separated. But I would say like within a week or two, a recruiter reached out to me. So that's how I got my current job.
I didn't go to any career fairs. Like I said, I knew I was going to go to grad school after graduation, and I had this idea that I was going to find a full-time job. But while I was doing my last 2 quarters, I was interning at the Slow Botanical Garden. So I basically walked in there and I was like, do you want an intern? And they were like, yeah, are you studying botany? And I was like, nope, but I would love to like manage your outreach, whatever you need. Let's just give this a shot. And that was really an eye opener for me because I didn't really understand the nonprofit structure, as most people don't. You don't understand why they exist, how they exist, what nonprofit status even means. You got to dig into those IRS codes. And that was so interesting to me. And from there, I was getting class credit through my major for that internship because it was unpaid and I did it for like 6 months. And for one of my projects, we actually were asked to write an elevator pitch. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I just want to go to grad school. Like, I just want to get into a master's program or a PhD program. I don't have a job in mind. And so I'm like online, I'm like, okay, Larry Bear, he's my elevator pitch. I want to tell him I want to run the Giants PR, whatever. While I'm on that website, I saw that they were hiring part-time ambassadors for the Junior Giants program. So I actually worked for the Junior Giants for 2 years in Salinas. One of those years I was applying for grad school, taking the GRE. And because the Junior Giants is run by the Giants Community Fund, that is the charity arm of the Giants, it was a nonprofit, and that really just solidified the path I wanted to take. So from there, I had my heart set on becoming the paid Junior Giants intern. And as soon as I was in grad school and eligible to apply for that, I applied, and then I spent the next 12 months working out of the front office. It was an amazing experience, but sports philanthropy isn't necessarily where I wanted to stay long term. So once my internship got extended, and then at the end of my 12 months, I was like, okay, I want to pivot to fundraising because I think that's where I'll have the most impact. And I had all this textbook knowledge, but no real experience in fundraising. So I started applying everywhere to any kind of fundraising position. Like, I was applying at Stanford and they have a million fundraisers, and just I ended up hearing back from my current employer, and that was almost 5 years ago now, and they were looking for someone with fundraising experience. And I was very candid from the beginning that I had this brain filled with textbook strategies and I was ready to learn, but my experience had been only program, and they took a chance on me. And 5 years later, I'm a manager in the same, the same team, we'll call it. And yeah, I think that for me, it was less about, going to like actual events and stuff, and more about just like being super candid about my goals and my ambitions. And it just led me to a really good place. And my grad school program did have the opportunity to do work with a lot of organizations here in the Bay Area. So I was already really well connected. I had a lot of experience doing like pro bono projects. So it was awesome. And yeah, so that's my story.
For me, my story is a little atypical. I graduated at the end of the financial crisis of 2009. So I wasn't super eager to find a job because it was kind of still pretty rough out there. So I just found a part-time job while my wife was finishing up grad school, and I just grew from there. So I was just a part-time shipper for a little while. And yeah, I just grew with the company. So nothing too crazy beyond that. I've never actually had to do the whole, shoot the resume out to tons of others. I just kind of lucked out that way, I guess.